that is used to help connect senior immigrants and youth to create stories and share those with everyone.
I really like the idea of using a picture as 1,000 words, but not in any language.
It's a way to bring understanding between the two generations, one that built Canada and one that is going to build it in the future.
If you don't get these stories now, you might not have them in the future.
It has a lot of positive benefits that we can bring to our communities and to our families.
And they provide a lot of great insight that we might not be able to have or recreate, or really have someone who went through the situation or saw things in a different light than we do now at this time. So I think that stories really connect with people and resonate with the younger generation, and being able to connect on that sense.
I'd say for me it means connecting with other people around us and really like fostering strong connections and making sure that everyone feels like they belong to Canada.
To me, it means connecting senior immigrants and their experiences with people of younger generations that could use those experiences to change their lives, or help those people that are coming over here.
It's a really great opportunity for me to see my skills working in a large group on a long-term project and solving a real-world problem. And I think I've learned a lot about myself, and in doing so, we've also been able to create something that has a positive effect on the community.
For me personally, I view this project as an opportunity for me to try. It gives me an opportunity to experiment with different avenues of trying to address the problem in a safe context, in an accepting context, where I can try these out, see what works, see what doesn't, I can iterate and I can improve. And I view this project as essentially an opportunity to improve myself as a designer.
I think for me, really, it's just highlighting the importance of human-to-human conversation and how much value stories can have, and making sure that we take advantage of the wisdom and stories that these senior immigrants have, and making sure that we use that as we move forward and as we all age and make decisions in our lives and in Canada's life as well.
Getting yourself plugged into the local culture, I think, is always a challenge.
I think they often find themselves lost.
Especially since they end up living in smaller communities within Canada and become accustomed to living in that community and just kind of interacting with people who speak the same language. It's a little bit hard to integrate beyond that community.
Being the person not from here is always a challenge, no matter where you are.
I think loneliness, probably when they first came, they didn't really know that many people. They were pretty alone, especially my grandparents on my mom's side when they were kicked out of the country.
I know with my grandma, she's definitely lonelier ever since my grandfather died. I know there's a disconnect between the older generation and the younger generation.
Social situations where they would end up excluded, so they often, I think, if someone comes over as a senior, often they're grandparents and they're here to take care of the kids, so they don't get a lot of social interaction that way.
I feel that I don't really know much about their lives in the past. More so, I know about them currently.
Simple things that we take for granted every day can actually be quite hard for them. Even just going to the grocery store or using a bank card, for example, things like that. And so when it comes to senior immigrants, I can imagine that they have a hard time too, especially adjusting to culture differences, as well as the language barrier, things like that.
Our project is a way to start conversations. And often the problem of feeling lonely is that you have no one to talk to. So our project is a way to start that conversation. We have questions that will get people engaged, such as like, how was your first day in Canada? Or how did the first winter feel like? And those are the things that will spark conversations, hopefully, and build relationships.
So we're really encouraging people within families, so like the older and younger generation, to have these conversations. So oftentimes, I think for senior immigrants, it can be a lot more comfortable for them to speak with people in their families, as well as they love sharing wisdom with the next generation. So that breaks up the language barriers. They're more comfortable, and as well as once we show how much value their stories and wisdom have, then I think they're more comfortable sharing it, as they have a lot of lessons they can teach us.
I think by connecting senior immigrants and youth, it helps, the senior immigrants feel like they're valued and that, people do care about what they have to say and the short stories that they can share.
Like, we want people to feel welcome even if they aren't a Canadian citizen by definition.
And it's a great opportunity to do some cross-generational stuff. The old sometimes feel left out, the young sometimes haven't been empowered yet, and this is a great way to join those two groups together.
They might just be lonely, and this is a way to really engage them in our lives and make them feel important, because they really, really are.
I think a way that it maximizes communication is by giving people sort of a public forum in which to not just have these kinds of conversations privately, and of course they're important to have privately and really bolster those connections within families, but then also to bring that out into the public.
First of all, it empowers them to kind of see their own stories as valuable and important to Canadian history, and then kind of letting them do it in their own language, letting them give us a picture that represents their story, kind of lets them express themselves without needing to use English, and I think that's really important.
I think our project gives them a really good platform to connect to people who are important in their lives, and possibly even strangers, depending how the project's facilitated. I think it gives them a real sense of purpose to have someone who's actually willing to sit down and listen to them and have a conversation with them and understand their perspectives and their point of view a little bit better. So I think it opens up a lot of opportunity for connections to be made within our community.
I feel that the students are exercising a lot of creativity with this project, and also it's really great to see that they're getting excited about an idea that they have, and they are bringing shape and form to actually doing something for Canada's sesquicentennial, as well as doing something that would reach out to populations that often are not included in these kinds of celebrations.